Sonoma Sideshow. Welcome to Sonoma Sideshow, recorded at Grim Reaper Studios, located somewhere at the base of the beautiful Blue Mountains in eastern Oregon. I'm your host, Les, the Snowman Kinnear. Big night tonight, folks. We're going to have a special correspondence from my buddy Pork Chop down in southeast Texas. Then my guest tonight is the legendary Ken McAtee. Ken is a former U.S. Air Force veteran. He spent a career in the social service field, and he also began playing guitar early in his life. Tonight he's going to tell us a little bit about a musical journey he's had, and from his first band names to the best gig ever. One of the greatest lefties ever to play the guitar. So that'll be Ken McAtee. But first, we're going to reach out to our buddy down in Texas and get a report of some odd news. Let's go out to southeast Texas for a special report from Kevin Pork Chop Klutts. What's going down, Kevin?
Well, it's raining fish in Texas and iguanas in Florida. Time for some odd news.
Okay.
Officials in Georgia were surprised to learn last week what was reported to be a woman's body on a hiking trail was a life-size doll. The doll, dubbed Selena, was seen in the Chachiti National Forest.
Oh.
Authorities reported the victim, Selena, is a little under the weather, but is expected to make a full recovery.
Oh, good.
A big company announced that it's holding an unusual Super Bowl contest.
Oh.
The news made a big splash. The contestant with the best post-Super Bowl poop will receive $10,000.
What?
When a special media follower asked why, the company responded, because everyone poops, and it's time someone made some money off of that.
Oh, my God. That is hilarious.
Hey, this story stinks. It's time I flush it and wipe it from my memory. On to St. Helena, where a change of guard has taken place. Jonathan, the 190-year-old giant tortoise, is now the world's oldest tortoise ever. Actually, that's an understatement. The oldest deaf-blind tortoise. But that hasn't slowed old Jonathan down. The old bicentennial tortoise spends his days sleeping, eating well, and getting his freak on with his boyfriend.
Whoa. Okay.
That's right, you see. For decades, Johnny roamed the island, wreaking slow havoc. But he had become grumpy. Locals asked, was it his age? Perhaps he was sick. But a vet checkup revealed it was a serious case of blue balls.
What? Whoa.
So in 91...
PG.
So in 91, caretakers decided it was time for a girlfriend. So along came Frederica.
Okay.
A young tortoise. Couple would spend hours basking in the sun, sleeping the same hours.
It's a love story.
Dining on veggies and vitamins. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And every Sunday, Johnny would pump the living daylights out of Frederica.
Okay.
This carried on for 30 years, but no offspring would be produced.
Darn it.
Then in 2017, caretakers discovered a lesion on her shell.
Oh.
Vets repaired the damage and also discovered Frederica was actually Frederick.
Oh.
So caretakers let the couple continue their daily routine. Johnny was not the monogamous type, though. Johnny acquired a friend with benefits, Emma.
Okay.
And the two have spotted banging on occasion.
Oh.
Rock on, Johnny.
Rock on, Johnny.
So, with all that, I will close with the question of the week.
Okay.
Who will win the game of the year? The Super Bowl.
Oh, boy. What's your pick?
Well, I'll tell you who Ripley Aquarium's MVP, most valuable penguin, delivery picked.
What? Who is that?
She picked the Bengals.
Oh, she picked the Bengals.
Yes.
I heard the Simpsons picked the Bengals also, but this is a penguin that will somewhere that predicts?
Well, she's part of Ripley's. Last year, she picked Kansas City, who lost terribly to the Buccaneers. So she's out for redemption.
Yeah, of course.
And but I think she's being biased.
Yeah.
Because the Bengals are closer to her home in Gatlinburg.
Right.
And that is this week's Odd News.
All right, man. That is excellent. You really know what you're doing there. K-Dog, I appreciate the time. And would you, I hope that you will consider being a special correspondent on a regular basis. I know the viewers are loving it. And, viewers, listeners. And so, yeah, man, you got to come back and tell us some more crazy stuff.
I'd love to.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot, Pork Chop. Say hello to everybody down in Southeast Texas. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, signing out from Texas.
Peace.
Rock on. Pork Chop out.
All right, welcome to the show tonight, Ken McAtee. Ken, thanks for being on.
Well, it's a pleasure to be on your show.
Well, I'm so stoked because, of course, you're my original sensei when it comes to music. Taught me everything I needed to know to begin with. In fact, you even wrote a manual, but I still have the manual. So that's what I call dedication from a teacher. They will write a manual for a student who hasn't learned much of anything yet, and I can refer to it to this day. So I always laugh about that. But the reason I wanted you on the show is because, of course, we used to play music together, and as I got to know you, you've had this pretty cool musical journey. And so I guess that's what I kind of wanted to start with is, of course, good hello and welcome to the show, but then go into telling me how did this all start? The time frame, the 60s, music. How did you get into music, and how did you know, I'm going to do this?
Well, yeah, it goes back before the 60s, really. When I was a kid, on TV, there was a program called Hit Parade. And this is early 50s, but it was kind of a fun thing to do, especially with my mom, not so much my dad and my brother, but my mom and I would sing along to these songs that were popular at the time. And, I just kind of developed an interest in listening to songs and music, and this kind of was one of my things that I really enjoyed. Yeah. And of course, then later in the 50s, rock and roll started to take shape. And with that, there was guys like Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly, Elvis, Richie Valens.
Yeah.
Well, all these guys, they played guitar. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty obvious that at that time that, it was a kind of a focal point of all this music that was happening.
Yeah.
And of course it was very, it was new and exciting, and it was what was going on at the time. So, I kind of took note of that and really kind of watched these guys playing their guitars and singing whenever, there was American Bandstand, so
Yeah.
they'd have some of these guys on every once in a while. At the time I didn't think anything about playing. I mean, I thought it was way above my, calling at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, I had no idea that I would be interested later, but and I kind of, those guys, you remember the song "The Day the Music Died,"
Yeah.
because Buddy Holly, Richie Valens died in a plane crash, and Elvis went into the army, and that sort of guitar based bands, or what was popular, kind of faded away.
Right.
And it all became this mushy Hollywood stars, were basically hired by these radio companies to sing songs. And it was popular and they sold records, but man, as far as music, it was just kind of a dead spot.
Yeah.
But then, Beach Boys came out, and the surf craze, and with that, instrumental guitar came out, like the Ventures.
Yeah.
And Dwayne Eddy, who was a little bit earlier than that, but there was the Shadows from England. Dick Dale did surf music.
Yeah.
So instrumental guitar became really popular, and that's where I just was enthralled with the guitar.
Yeah.
And just that's where it kind of took off to where I'd like to learn how to do that. So that was my big boost, was instrumental, guitars of the early '60s.
So what was the first guitar? So you had to have said, "Mom, Dad, I want to do this. Can you get me a guitar?" So I want to hear that part. How did you get that?
Well, yeah, that was interesting. And of course, I said, I want an electric guitar. That's what that's what I'm seeing on TV.
Yeah.
Or that's what I'm listening to. And they said, well, that might be a little too much, because if you buy an electric guitar, you got to buy an amp. So they said, well, how about this? We'll buy an acoustic guitar, and you take lessons and see how you do. And then if things go well, then we'll buy an electric guitar. Okay. So, got an acoustic guitar, started taking lessons.
Now, I want to note, though, you are a lefty.
Yeah.
So that even then is still a little bit unusual. And so how did you find the market for a lefty? Must have been difficult at that time frame.
It was impossible. And as far as I knew, of course, sorry for the cough. Of course, what I could afford and what I even had access to,
right,
was minimal, because, Fenders or Gibsons and stuff were just very expensive.
Right.
And they did have left-handed ones, but, just totally out of my price range. So, I got left-handed ones, first an acoustic, then a electric, from Sears, for like $50 or something. I just turned the strings around.
But I mean, yeah. You did the typical, yep. The
and the action on it was like, the strings are like about an inch off the fretboard. Oh, God. So it was horrible. But that's what I learned on, and I learned to play on those guitars. And it was really common for that to occur, change the strings around it. And
Right.
I did that, and I think you saw that silver tone that I have.
Well, I was going to say, now this leads me into the kind of the next part. Now, when I met you and I wanted to learn to play guitar, you gave me or loaned to me a silver tone Sears, right? Sears silver tone electric guitar that you had modified to play left-handed.
Yeah.
And so, I'm right-handed, so I played that, and then I can't remember what we did for an amp at the beginning, but I played that silver tone. So, and I know later you ended up donating that, and I in my archives I've got the newspaper article from that when you donated that guitar. But was that the one that you had early on?
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And the reason, sorry, the reason I didn't buy any other ones, after I had that silver tone, and I actually had it in a band, my first band, for a couple years in Mountain Home, Idaho. And then I moved and really got away from playing. But I went into the Army. So there was about 4 years or so that I didn't play at all. And then when I got out of the Army and I came back to Idaho, I visited a friend that was in that first band. He had a Gibson, left-handed Gibson Melody Maker, and I bought it from him. And that I used, like, when I got into a band in college, I used that Melody Maker,
Yeah.
but I still had that Sears guitar, carried it around with me. I sold that Gibson, but I kept that Sears guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after you used it, of course, I got a real guitar then. I got that Fender Stratocaster.
Yes.
And donated the Sears guitar.
I know. And do you look back now? I'm just curious. Do you regret that? Do you wish you still had it?
No.
Okay. Well, because in my mind, I'm like, I should have kept it because that's what I started on. And I have pictures of me playing on it, with some sort of wood cabinet. I don't know. You might have even built it for me. Some sort of cabinet with some speakers. We had somehow, I can't remember what it was for an amp, but I don't know. I kind of regret letting that thing slip out now, looking back. Just to have it hanging on the wall would be cool, But
yeah, as far as kind of this is what they used back in the caveman day before.
What was the name of your band? The first band?
Oh, it was Disciples of Stone.
That's right, Disciples of Stone.
Disciples of Stone, and we played a lot of Rolling Stone tunes.
Love it.
We actually played on the Rolling Stone album High Tide in Green Grass. We actually played every song on that album.
Wow.
Disciples of Stone.
That is awesome. What about your first paid gig? Was that with Disciples of Stone or?
Yeah, we actually had a few paid gigs, like I think generally it was like $50, and then one time we got a gig for $80, and we thought, hey, we're in a bit time now.
Yes. What year was that though?
Oh God, it was like around 1965.
Exactly. So that was probably fast forward to you and I playing the Fiery Foods Festival. This is my highest paying gig, and it was $1,000 for a band of 8 people, and we thought we had arrived.
Oh yeah, was that in Pasco?
Yeah, in Pasco.
Yeah.
So, what gear? I mean, no matter who I interview, if there's something they're into, I'm like, what gear do you use? And especially in the music world, everybody wants to know what gear do you use, and and I'll have friends come over and they'll look at my stuff and they'll say, what made you get this Fender DeVille? And I'm like, Kenny Mac. Before I knew anything about what to get, I just asked him and he said, trust me. And now this amp is probably, even though I did gig with it and it's a little bit beaten up, it's probably worth more now than what I paid for it then. I mean, so you directed me that way. So what's your gear?
Yeah, everything is more expensive now. But, when you and I started playing, with Big Steve, or even earlier with the Dogleg Left.
Yeah.
And I bought a Fender Stratocaster, and I bought a Johnson modeling amp, which I used through both those bands. And when I first, moved to Boise in, 2003, and I got into a band, which I was in for 6 years, and I used that same equipment.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got into a band, which I'm currently in and have been for like 13 years now. So I got into my first new guitar after that was a 335, which is a semi-hollow Epiphone. It's called an Epiphone Dot, but it's modeled after a Gibson 335. Semi-hollow body. Used that for a couple years, and then I got into using Les Pauls, which I have 3 Les Pauls now, and pretty much have been using the Les Pauls for 10 years.
You still have the black Strat though? The
I
lefty?
do, yeah.
All right.
I do. And I still play it, once in a while. Not in the band, but just practicing and learning songs and stuff. And for amps, I've got an assortment of amps, but the one I've used pretty much exclusively through this band for the whole time is a Vox AC30.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And kind of one of the deals with this band, we sort of the foundation of this band is British invasion, 60s British invasion rock and roll.
I was going to say, plug 'em. What's the name? Tell us about that.
It's Jerry and the Dreambenders.
Okay.
It's kind of a schmooze, like Jerry and the Pacemakers, was a band, and then there was Wayne Fontana and the Mindbenders, and then there was Freddie and the Dreamers. So the guy that sort of formed the band, he took these different names from these different bands and schmoozed them together. So it's Jerry and the Dreambenders with a G. But see, all those English bands, like the Beatles being one of them, they were all using Vox amps. Right. I mean, that's what they could get, in those days.
Right.
So yeah, Vox was very common. It's still used by different bands. Tom Petty used Vox quite a bit. And we actually do a lot of Tom Petty too, but
love him, yeah.
So we are on our stage. We kind of have a stage setup. I mean, it's all Vox amps, so it's just kind of part of our look,
Right, makes sense.
Yeah,
that's so cool. And you're gigging, you're working, and because you're. I mean, I want to you're retired, so you're gigging now, and just trying to stay up on that, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, with COVID and like with other bands, things just really died. I mean, there was nothing.
Right.
There was nowhere to play, and couldn't if you wanted to, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, we don't do bars per se. We've done a couple of like bar things, but usually they've been like benefit sort of shows and stuff like that where we've done them in a bar.
Right.
But most of our stuff has been outdoor festival type stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
And for years, I mean, there's still remnants of it, but for years we kind of had a regular deal every year where we'd go back and we'd play these same festivals.
Yeah.
So we always kind of knew we were good with these certain gigs,
right,
these
yeah.
festivals and stuff, and kind of regional stuff. So yeah, they were a lot of fun, and so we've done this Toys for Tots deal in December, which we play at a bar. We've played it at the same place for like 7 years, and it's just a bash. I mean, we kind of do a raffle thing. We've always packed the house, and then after that gig, it's kind of we've taken time off, and then kind of January, we started picking up things with, getting back to rehearsing and learning new songs or whatever. So actually in about 2 weeks, we're starting back into rehearsals,
Nice.
And we hope things work out for the summer.
Yeah.
The venue stuff isn't as reliable as it was. I mean, we're still like, we're just now starting to get calls about like this one in July, which is a car show. It's about, in a town 20 miles away. It's a car show that
and
we've done
you're
before.
in Boise area.
Yeah, well, yeah, I live in Eagle, which is a suburb of Boise.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's kind of an example.
Yeah.
Like this car show we've done before. We've played at it's an outdoor, what do you call those things? Big,
Amphitheaters. Or?
Amphitheater, yeah, kind of thing. And it's great because we know what to expect, and we kind of know the guys that are going to be doing these sound systems or whatever,
Right.
I mean, sometimes we've done our own sound, but also, as of late, more and more we're getting sound companies, coming in and doing sound. And another thing that's happened
nice.
is, it's great because you don't have to mess with it all. We just got hooked up with an agent, booking agent, and so we're hoping for good things to come out of that.
Yeah.
And
be able. Who's the agent? Can you plug that or?
His name is Rick Oliver.
Okay.
And I don't know. We used to work with a guy named Rick Oliver, but that's beside the point. It's a different guy.
You're right. Okay. Oh, that's funny.
So yeah. So we've got high hopes. He's got some ideas, and it's kind of like we're just entering into the time where we start, hopefully getting some bookings.
Yeah.
For the summer, and maybe doing some traveling and this
fun,
and that.
Yeah.
Not huge traveling, but regional stuff.
So I have to ask, and you've been playing music a long time, so I want to know both best and worst gig. and I'm curious what you're going to say for worst gig, because I'm thinking it's going to be something with me.
Well, that was probably the worst. And I know what you're talking about. The Vert Auditorium.
Yes. So we signed up to do why did we even, I bet that was my idea, and I probably tried to talk you into it. And let's go play a talent show in the local community. And, that was a life changer.
Well, we were we had a little acoustic set, that we did. Yeah. We played over in Walla Walla at a coffee shop kind of place, or a wine thing.
Yeah.
And we played for like a private party, and this and that, and we worked on songs. So yeah, we thought we knew a thing or two, which, we did. We knew a thing or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just said, hey, let's do this.
Uh-huh.
I thought we could win. But at least
let's who beat us? 8-year-old cloggers. Okay. And there's no experience like listening to real traditional, because this building was a very older building, and so nothing like hearing those curtains open. I can still hear it, Ken. They open, and then there was not a drop of noise, nothing, and it was just me and you. And at that moment, it occurred to me what a dumb idea it was to go up and play an instrumental with two guys in front of an entire auditorium of folks. And it haunts me to this day, especially when they're like, okay, first round, who made it through? And then we got a certificate, because we didn't. And these cloggers, they beat us. And I appreciate cloggers. I get it. They're good. They're good at what they do. But still, we played, what did we play?
We played Hideaway.
Come on, Hideaway. What a classic piece.
It is. Well, two things too. Well, one, I remember being extremely nervous.
We were.
Being backstage, and here's all these people running around, and kids, and some guy directing traffic. Okay, you're next. And then, we're sitting. That it's our turn. We go up there behind this closed curtain.
Oh.
These microphones in this closed curtain, and the curtain opens, and you're right, dead silence. There's this 1,000-watt spotlight in our faces. You can't see anybody in the audience. It's like you can feel the heat off the spotlight, and it's like, I remember looking at you and saying, all right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, but I was shaking.
I'm thinking I'm guessing you were thinking, I can't stand you, Les. Why did you talk me into this?
No, not at all. But good thing about that. After we were done with that, I vowed, to never. I said, if I can't get over being nervous,
right?
I might as well give up playing, because it was horrible. And actually, from that, I just, I just, after, playing and having experience, I got over being nervous and kind of thought, never again will I be that nervous. So that was a good thing.
It was. And what a great time. I mean, it was terrifying, but I love it, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I would not change that.
Yeah, it's a great experience, Yeah. It's like, it was great.
Yeah.
As far as experience.
Yeah, it took some courage. It took some courage to get there. But from that, I know early on, and not to bore anybody, but we did a lot of stuff. We did the open mic circuit, all in kind of our little region here, and those things build, for people. They're building blocks, and you start getting a little more. And then, of course, eventually you moved and went on to doing what you're doing, and I kept playing and stuff, but all of that, those are building blocks, and, it's impressive that you're still playing and out there gigging. I can't imagine, Ken, like, I have no desire. I mean, I love music, and I always will, and you're my sensei, but I can't, what was it, 2 years ago that two years ago I put on a reunion for our band, Big Steve and the Trainwreck, and it took so much energy and everything to pull it off. And by the time I got done, I thought, oh, Lord, I don't know if I can do this anymore. So it was fun, though. I'm glad I did, but...
oh, yeah. That was great.
Yeah, I just can't imagine doing it, and you're out there doing it. You're gigging.
Well, it's like I never thought I would be gigging at this age,
Yeah.
I never thought it would be, but it's kind of like I've been doing it for so long that I can't imagine not doing it.
Yeah.
It's kind of an addicting thing, and I just love doing it. And I love working on songs and just rehearsing and playing music with guys and performing.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully I can still do it for however long. Well, I don't know how long, but
right, it's a crapshoot for all of us. But I will say you've been a good young man for a long time, because when I met you, even then, you still wouldn't even drink or soda, because you didn't want caffeine because you couldn't sleep. So, I mean, you have lived a clean and beautiful life. So I'm expecting you to outlive me by far. So,
well, I did want to mention, you said kind of going back to a previous question about the best gig.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get into that. Yeah,
we didn't. That's right.
And, yeah, but that's okay with your format.
Yes.
Probably the last gig with Big Steve and the Trainwreck.
Yeah.
When I think we got a short notice kind of a deal to play. I think it was Roundup.
Uh-huh.
I believe it was Roundup at the. We got this short notice thing. Hey, you want to go play at the Great Pacific?
Yeah.
And we went down there and just sort of hauled our stuff in there and set up and started playing.
Yep.
I think that was probably just the most fun. I mean, we sounded good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was just it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun.
One of my favorite of all time. It was magical because it was easy. It was easy. There was no effort. We went up there. We just did our thing. We got in a zone. We knew this was it for this band and this formation that we had built. And, it was tough for me because I didn't want you to move. And I was like, there goes my rock that's going to help me become a better musician. And so, but we had this night and it was incredible. And we had, the crowd was into it and the people were dancing. And yeah, it was amazing. Best time ever.
Yeah, it was good. We had nothing to lose, and we just let it all hang out.
Well, I know you're going to be surprised, but we're starting to run out of time, and so definitely I got to have you back on this show. You will come back, right?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, and we can go down a rabbit hole of music and discuss more specific things, but one of the things I like to do is my grandpa always said, "Boy, spit wisdom." And so spitting wisdom means give some good advice, speak something good. And so if you could go back in time just for one moment to give advice, to spit some wisdom, if you will, to like one person, it could be you or anybody historically, whatever, but within reason, you've got to you get to throw out some advice to this 15-year-old Ken McAtee, or it could be JFK, whoever. Who is it, and what do you say?
Well,
boom.
I don't have any original advice because I've heard this before.
Yeah,
but it's good advice, and that is follow your passion.
Yeah.
Pursue it and go for it,
Yeah.
Follow your passion, because the journey in itself is what's rewarding,
Yeah. Well, you are my sensei and one of my best friends in the world. I love the fact that I met you and how I met you, and that'll be a podcast another time. And how we built our friendship and played music and steak night and blues night and all those things we did. But definitely going to have you back on. So, Ken, thank you so much. You're probably one of the best musicians I know in the world and one of the best people I know. And my time that I got to spend with you was awesome. And I hope someday, although I'm just not as tough as you, I don't really play much, but maybe someday you and I can jam again. If you're in the area, we'll do a live jam here in the studio. But no, I appreciate it. So thanks for being on the show.
Well, it was a pleasure, Les, and great talking to you. I had a wonderful time.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
Bye. Well, I'll tell you what, that was a great interview. I love Ken McAtee. Kenny Mac. Great guitar player, great musician, good guy. Definitely going to have him back on. I want to thank him for being on the show tonight. Thank my listeners and my sponsors. Bill Murphy Roofing, Wandering Wizard Concepts, Vertical Jigs and Lures, DLC Photography, The Shop, Diesel Fuel Filter Kits, History Hunters and Firearm Antiquities, and of course the John P. Salter Foundation. All sponsors can be found online and on most social media outlets. Intro music provided by Pecan Pie and distributed by Epi. News articles provided by Reuters and Associated Press. That's a wrap. Be sure to catch the next episode. Until then, keep your nose clean if it takes both sleeves. And say nice things about me, because I'm gone.
Hi, that's good news.
You had no right. Sonoma Sideshow.